And like I said, we are in Psalm chapter 90 today, and I don't usually have a particularly good title, but I liked this one, Are Your Days Numbered? Because the short of it is, yes, your days are numbered. If I have a threatening mafia voice, I could say that and I would do it. That's a fact of life. Your days are numbered. Psalm 90 reminds us that's the human condition, the universal truth that our days here are numbered. And Psalm 90 is going to remind us of that truth, but it also asks a different question in a more positive light. Have you numbered your days? Have you yourself numbered them? How will you spend them? And in the end, when we get to the end of it, will God number your days? Or depending on how we live, will He unnumber them? He's timeless. Will He make them timeless like He is? And so those are the questions that Psalm 90, I think, asks today, and hopefully by the end we'll know the answers to that from someone who would know. I don't know if you've looked at your superscription there in Psalm 90. Mine says, a prayer of Moses, the man of God, which makes this the oldest psalm we have. It's the only one attributed to Moses in the Psalms. You got some other kind of poetic things in Exodus and Deuteronomy, but this is the one in the Psalms. It's the oldest psalm we have, and really it's from someone who would understand. I think Moses puts some things for us into perspective, proper perspective, which is kind of tough for us to do on our own, because humans, well, we're very small. We are one of 8 billion on a pretty sizable globe. We've got a kind of narrow focus. We only see a small piece of the pie. And what we see is generally about us, right? We've said before, you're never without yourself. So you are always there with you, and everything you see and experience is from your perspective. It makes for a small perspective, 1 out of 8 billion. It should go to show us that that perspective can't be correct, right? There can't be 8 billion sinners of the universe, but we are self-focused. We kind of just have to be. But Moses, who had a long time to reflect on life and days and the years going on. I think they're numbering days differently in Israel, don't you? As you read through the psalm, you kind of get the sense down in verses 7 through 9, this is Moses reflecting on the punishment of God, the wrath poured out on Israel for their unfaithfulness and the things that they've done. In verse 7, we are brought to an end by your anger. In verse 9, all our days pass away under your wrath. It is bad times for Moses and for Israel when he's writing, but all that wondering, all that remorse and that guilt, that frustration over the sin of the people that drives them into 40 years in the desert, I think it lends Moses proper perspective. And so Psalm 90, he puts us in our rightful place, and he puts God in his rightful place in size, in scope, in time, whatever you want to think of. It's good for us to remember how small we are and how big God is. It's healthy for our theology, it's healthy for our understanding, but it's also healthy for our lives. And I think we'll see that today. If we can understand that better, God versus us, in proper perspective, our days will also go better, as will our attitudes in our lives. So today we're going to start in verse 1, if you will read with me, and we'll begin right there. Where Moses writes, Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. And so here we start with, well, every generation of people, right? You can imagine Moses in the wilderness with the Israelites saying, God has been our dwelling place. They have no other dwelling place. They're wandering for 40 years. And since Abraham, God has been their safe dwelling place, the people of Israel. But this is much bigger than the Jewish people. This is every generation. God created human beings, all generations of them. And so all of them dwell in God because all creation dwells in God. Everyone and everything exists in Him. If you think about before creation, there's just God. It's just God, that's it, that's all. And then there's creation, but it's all in Him. It exists in Him. Without Him, there is nothing. If you try to conceive of nothing, I encourage you to do that for a moment. Try to wrap your mind around nothing. I struggle with that. Take away God, and what do you have? Nothing. There's no space. There's no vast area. There's nowhere. There's no place to be. Without Him, there's no dwelling place for us and no dwelling place for anyone or anything, which, again, it's hard for finite people like us to understand. but it's no less true. God's immanence, his person, his being, his existence, his size, scope, whatever you want to call it, is limitless, which is probably, I think, the best word we have in English that I can pronounce easily. That's the best word for it. Verse 1 tells us that we dwell in him. I think that's an important reminder for us as people. I don't know about you. I often think about God working around us, God doing things, and he's in our world, in our universe, doing things, but the truth is much larger. And he doesn't exist in our universe exists in him. Now, he intercedes, he reaches in, he manipulates at will at his own pleasure. He does what he wants inside and outside of what he's created. But it's an important thing to remember, he is at the foundation. Everything that exists, the cosmos and all their expanding energy and speed, they exist by his design, by his creation, the one who spoke at the beginning of time. He created space and time. Verse 2 here, Moses writes, "From everlasting to everlasting, you are God." He says, "Before the mountains were brought forth," which is pretty old. Mountains are old, but not old enough. "Before you formed the earth and the world, the cosmos, there was never a time when God was not. He is before all things." He goes for eternity into the future and eternity into the past. If you were to try to draw his lifespan forward going that way, you'd have to go forever, which hurts my brain, but then you got to go this way and go forever backwards, which hurts my brain worse. His eternality, if that's a word, I think it is. It's at the bottom, foundationally, of our theology, eternality, and at the same time, it may not be the best way to describe God because it sounds as though I'm trying to put God into a time box within the system of time, when the truth is when God started creating, there was no time. He created that. It wasn't a thing. It was just him. We lack both the words and the ability to understand. And Moses here, our psalmist for the day, remembers that. I imagine as he's walking through what seems like an endless desert of endless space, to him an endless amount of time. 40 years is a long time. I imagine Moses remembering this is in reality. We're seeing this little piece of this. This is God, endless in space and size and time. And so he builds in verse 4. He says, "For 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday when it is past. 1,000 years in your sight are as a watch in the night. You sweep them away as with a flood. They're like a dream, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning it flourishes and is renewed. In the evening it fades and withers." 1,000 years. They are a watch in the night to God. He sweeps them away as with a flood. And I know Moses has seen some things swept away with a flood, right? As have we lately, recently, in heartbreaking and overwhelming mad fashion. But the power of water here, Moses is saying that's like God versus 1,000 years. That's what 1,000 years is to God, is something to easily sweep away. They're a dream to him. It's like grass that withers and is renewed. And understanding God's timelessness. He created time. He controls time. We know he's eternal. We can't grasp it very well. But there is no end. There is no beginning to God. And I wonder, is there even a now to him? And I got to thinking, I wonder if maybe that's why Jesus in the Scripture, and I like how he's portrayed in The Chosen, if you're with us on Wednesday nights, keeps saying the word soon, right? It's always this undefined amount of time, soon. And maybe, for us, that's a definition of time. It's an appointment, something that's coming fairly quickly, but perhaps to God it's less of an appointment and more of a promise, not of when, but of what. Jesus will come back soon. God will roll this thing up and shake creation and destroy it all with fire again soon. It's a promise because he's timeless. But it will happen when he wants, at his will, in his time. He is limitless. We, on the extreme other hand, are not. Our days are quick. Moses reminds us that. We've kind of taken this shift in verse 7, but here in verse 3 he alludes to it. "You return man to dust, saying, 'Return, O children of man.' We come and go, but God is a permanent fixture. You have the Creator on one hand and the created on the other, and God brings us into this world and God takes us out. Verse 7, for we are brought to an end by your anger, by your wrath we are dismayed. You've set our iniquities before you, our secret sins in the light of your presence, for all our days pass away under your wrath. We bring our years to an end like a sigh. Moses and Israel knew firsthand that wrath, that judgment of God, that their iniquity was before him, and they are witnessing all their days passing away under his wrath. There are, who knows how many people, we think more than 1 million, maybe multiple millions of people out there in Israel for 40 years going from place to place. You can imagine every day people are passing away. This whole generation that has to go as they go through the desert. They know firsthand God's judgment for their sin. Where God is forever in every way, he's overwhelming and all-encompassing and eternal, their lives and our lives look very different. Like the phrase, short and simple, but we are short and sinful. It's the breadth of our life is short. And we might think that we're pretty good at times, depending on who we compare ourselves to. But during our life, God sees all of our iniquities as well. Verse 8, all our sin. We may hide it well from each other. We cover up our secrets pretty well, but Moses is pretty honest. What God does is he kind of takes our wrapped up, hidden, covered up secret sins, takes the box out of the drawer, puts it up on the desk, unwraps it and opens it and pulls everything out to see clearly, illuminated by the presence of his eternal glory. He sees all of our hidden mess. He puts it up on the table, and that's our life in a tiny box before him, sinful and potentially under his judgment. Moses says his glory never ends, but our years end like a sigh. And that's it. And I think that is the proper perspective that Moses gives us. In verse 10, he keeps going, the years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength 80, yet their span is but toil and trouble. They are soon gone, and we fly away. And that's if we're strong, right? Many don't make it 70 years. We have no promises of 70 or 80. We have some in here who are even a little stronger than that who've kept on. There's no promise of 70 or 80, or in Moses' case, 120. We can go at any minute. And we know that in our heads, right? We're aware of our mortality. We see other people pass, but we act like it's not true. Reminds me of that parable in it's Luke chapter 12. The man who builds bigger barns, he's got the bumper crop and he wants to tear down his barns and build bigger and say to himself, you've got plenty for years. Sit back, relax, enjoy life. And Jesus says, you fool. Your very life is demanded this night. We are a mist. That's how James chapter 4 describes it. He's writing to the church telling them, hey, before you go plan and scheme of the places you will go and the things you will do, remember, we are a breath. The only way anything is happening here is if God allows for it, if God wills it to happen. And I think Psalm 90 is doing the same thing. It's stating that same truth about God and then stating the truth about us. He's putting those two things right next to each other. 1 through 7 are about God's timeless, eternal awesomeness. And from there on, it's about us and our tiny, diminutive, temporary, fleeting, fragile, weak lives. It's putting those right next to each other so we can kind of clearly see the difference. I should really go over here and then way over there. To God, 1,000 years is like a dream. If we get 70 or 80 or even 120 years, Moses says life is toil and trouble and soon gone and we fly away. And so that's the first 11 verses of this psalm. God's forever. We are not. He's limitless and timeless. We're limited. We go out with a sigh. We're a blip. What are we to do in this situation? The first thing I think Moses would tell us is don't make life about you. Life can't be about us, shouldn't be about us. It doesn't make any sense. It's a bad math equation, right? We're a terrible thing to build life around. Small and fleeting and accident-prone. We are aging all the time. Every day we get closer to death. We talk about that a lot, don't we? We need to talk about that a lot because we are self-focused and we see ourselves and we get lost in it. We can use the reminder that life should never be about us. We're a sandcastle with the tide coming in. This week it was hot, and so I thought we're an ice sculpture in the Texas July sun. That's my new thought. Why waste time trying to perfect the sculpture? It's melting away. It's not the place to invest your time and your effort. There's no point in focusing on us, on our temporary stay on earth, along with our sinfulness and our imperfections and the toil of life, all of which takes place within God, all of which takes place within His presence. It's His creation. He's the dwelling. He's the domain for all of it, His permanence. That's how this psalm is set up. If you ask someone a little older than you, depending on where you are, some are like, there's nobody here older than me, but they'll tell you, I'm not sure where the time went. Even at me at 40, what am I, 42? About to be 43. I get lost now. I'm at the age I don't remember how old I am, but I remember clearly childhood. I remember birthdays with my siblings and my cousin. I remember my first day of kindergarten. It was not that long ago. I remember my great-grandfather when we had chicken pox. Y'all don't get chicken pox now, but we got chicken pox. My great-grandfather was born in 1914 and came over with limes when we had chicken pox to make homemade limeade. One fell down the garbage disposal. He told me to reach my hand down there, and I kind of eyeballed him a little bit. I was like, I don't know about this. I remember that like it was yesterday. I was 5, 6, 7 years old maybe. It's right there. It was gone. It's a while ago, but it's right there in front of me. I remember my teenage years. I remember, we did LTC too. We did mission trips and camps. We did, even way back then. They're right there. Those memories of those friends, those people that are close. And the next thing you know, you're having children. And then your children are growing, and then the children have children, and you're a grandparent. And then if you live long enough, 70 or 80 years, your grandchildren have kids. That's got to be something. Time flies. The days may seem long, but the years are short. Next thing you know, you guys over here will be 41, 42, 40, however old I am, in my 40s. You'll break a hip and then you'll know. The question in Psalm 90 is this breath of time that we get. Will we use it well? These 70 or 80 years, if you're strong, again, you're not guaranteed that. It goes in an instant. And lived unwisely, what Moses wants us to know, I think, is a life. Your life, if lived unwisely, will be a quick light that may burn bright for a few years, but it will dim and go out with a sigh, never to be lit again or remembered. But if we take that light, if we go from way over here, and we go from this temporary, one day here, gone another day, from the flower that fades, grass that withers kind of life, if we go from that place and take those fleeting years that just blow by us, and instead of living for us, if we entrust them to the one who is and always has and always will be, the one who was before time, who holds time in his hands. I mean, we're living this quick, fast life. What if we were to take those years and give it back to the one who controls time, who created all things? For him, 1,000 years is like a dream. Psalm 90 sets this up. God, again, on one hand, over here, limitless in power and scope and time, exists in and out of time at will because he made it. And then we're way over here, so time-bound, so small, so fleeting, so sinful. We're a mist that disappears. And I think Psalm 90 here is asking the question, which side would you rather be on? It's kind of a simple question. And yet many people don't realize that they have a choice. They do have a choice. It's our job to let them know that they have a choice. God, who reigns on high and looks down on us in love and says, here are days. Here are these days, some unspecified number of years that you're going to get, maybe 70 to 100, probably not, maybe. Some number of years, and you can, if you want to, keep them for yourself. That's fine. You can take them, you can have them, you can do what you want with them. God gives us choice. But before you know it, those years will be gone. He says to them, you can take them, do whatever you want. You can have fun, go have a field day, live for yourself. That's just fine. For right now, for some number of years, but then they're going to burn out. He offers that choice, and many people will take it. But there's an or here, right? He gives us another choice. You can take them and run with a temporary mist vapor kind of plan, the grass that withers, or he says, you can trust in me. You can listen to me, and I'll teach you. And you can move your years from that temporary, frail, limited, weak, fragile, passing, fleeing place, that existence over there, and bring those days to him, to his eternal existence. And he says, I will make them last forever. We can move them from us to our eternal Father and just hand them over and give them up to him. We're not sacrificing a lot here. It goes by so fast. We're a vapor. But those fleeing years put back into the hands of God who holds time. Our days can become so much more. They can have purpose, and not just temporary purpose, but his eternal purpose. They can echo in eternity. They can be imbued with his eternality. Living for us makes no sense. I kind of liken it to telling somebody, here's a snow cone. Again, back in the Texas July sun, because we can't escape it. Here's a snow cone you can have. You can have that snow cone. It's bright, it's colorful, it's sweet. It might hurt your stomach a little bit later, but let's table that for now. You can take this snow cone and you can have it. It's melting slowly, so eat it quick. Or you can give me the snow cone and I will give you good, nourishing, wholesome food instead. And you might think about that and be like, okay, I like snow cones. How much food are we talking? And God says, all of it, all the food, all the good, nourishing food forever. Or you can have that snow cone. And some people will say, let me think about that for a minute. And while I think about that, maybe I'll just sneak a little taste of the snow cone over here, but I'll probably come back to you, God, because that seems like a good deal. But all the while, the snow cone's melting. Can't sit on the fence here. Life is passing away. We don't know at which point we're gone. We know we're here one day and gone the next. Life is a flash. It's limited, fragile. Once I'm gone 100 years from now, nobody will remember. But if I give my years to God, he'll do something different. And so living for us makes no sense, but living for God, if we can take our years that God gives us and trust him, trust God who loves us, who wants what's best for us, if we can give those years back to him, he says, I will take them and they'll become mine, and what's mine lasts forever. Living for God is everything in this life. It is the point of life. It's the one truth. It's the primary goal. It's the one thing we need to get right if we hope to get out of here. If you get this right, promises are too glorious to even understand. If we don't, well, that's a different story. There's so many things that we could chase here in this life, so many things, relationships or a job or career, this person, this friend, this hobby, so many things and options and decisions in this world. But when you take a step back and get some perspective, we realize my life is a flash. It's not really a hard question. You see in Psalm 90 that dichotomy that Moses offers us. God on one side, eternal in scope and time, and us on the other. And then we have at the end, kind of in the middle of the prayer, the psalm, this beautiful phrase, this prayer. It says in verse 12, teach us, Lord, to number our days. Essentially, Moses, out of the wisdom God's given him and the experience that he has, he says, knowing the truth of God's infinite existence and your minuscule, fleeting existence, with those two things in mind, pray and ask God to teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. We're going to realize the truth at some point or another. Everyone will. Every knee will bow and tongue confess. At some point or another, everyone will know. The question really is when. Will it be before we die or after, when it's too late? Will we become aware of the ultimate truth in life while we're still here and still have time to do something about it, time to hand those years back to God, or will it come after we're gone? As online this week. I'm working on that. There may hopefully come a day, again, I'm back in the 90s, I'm not online ever. But this week I was online, and I saw this headline pop up. I'm not a golfer. What I do could never be considered golf. I don't even follow golf. But this week I saw this video pop up, and it said, hold on, let me get the headline right. What's the point? Astonishing Scottie Scheffler press conference. If you know golf, you know Scottie Scheffler is the world's #1 golfer right now. And he's in this press conference. And I guess with golfers, they're always asking, hey, how important is this next thing to you? You know, you got this many major wins. Like I said, I don't follow. They were flummoxed by this interview. Here's how it went. He said, I'm not here to inspire somebody else to be the best player in the world. Because what's the point, you know? This is not a fulfilling life. It's fulfilling from the sense of accomplishment, but it's not fulfilling from the sense of the deepest places of your heart. You know, there's a lot of people who make it to what they thought was going to fulfill them in life, and then you get there, and all of a sudden, you get to #1 in the world, and they're like, what's the point? If I win, it's going to be awesome for like 2 minutes. He went on. I don't know if I'm making any sense or not. Am I? And they kind of laughed, all the press corps and the reporters. It's just one of those deals. I love the challenge. I love being able to play this game for a living, but does it fill the deepest wants and desires of my heart? Absolutely not. He's figured out something long before others do, and some never will. And I got to think about #1s in their sport or in their career or their field, whatever it is they're in. And many of them reach that level, and the fall from #1 almost kills them. It haunts them for the rest of their life. And Scheffler's a little different in that. I did a little research on him. He's been open about his faith. He's asked another time, what is it that defines you as a golfer? And he replied, I'm a person of faith. I believe in a creator. I believe in Jesus. I hope that defines me more than anything else. So should it surprise us that the current world #1 sees golf for what it is? I don't think so. He has found the one thing he needed to find in life. That's the hole-in-one, if you're wondering. For life, your hole-in-one is this. It's God's love for you through Jesus Christ, our Lord. Moses tells us to pray, teach us to number our days, that we may get a heart of wisdom, that we could have a heart of wisdom, that we would number our days, count our days according to His standards, His priorities, His goals, that we would go through every day with a sense of His awesome, eternal existence, His grand, timeless, just incredible existence, and our quick, fleeting, weak, fragile, aging selves, and put those two together and pray, God, help me in light of that to live my life properly, to realize our brief existence and to recognize the gift that God offers us through His love and His Son. And if we go to Him, if we take our days to Him and in worship, give them up as an offering, put ourselves on it, He'll take our years that pass by and give them eternal meaning. He'll make our life last forever. We need to reorient life with this. We need to keep it front and center because we live in a world that pretends like we're never going to go. Our days are numbered. But if we take them to God and ask God to help us number our days, we'll live the kind of life we should. I want to close with something from Jesus in Luke chapter 9, verse 23, where He says, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will save it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses or forfeits himself? It's really pretty simple. It's the gospel of God's love, that He put us here, that He loved us. He loved us enough to give His Son to give us a choice so we can live our days out here and perish, or we can trust Him. We can put our faith in His gift, His grace, His love, His mercy. And if we do that, He'll give us life forever. And I think Moses, even though he doesn't get to see Luke 9 written, I think he's in heaven saying amen. Makes a pretty compelling argument. And so this morning, if you've not accepted the grace of God, if you've never known the gift of Jesus, if you don't know his forgiveness and eternal life, you can accept that right now. You can make that trade. You can offer to God your quick, passing, fleeting years, and he can take it and do something eternal. But living for us doesn't make any sense. We are short-lived and sinful, and God offers us something so much better. And so if you would accept him, if you'd put your trust in him and be made new, we invite you. If you need to come back to him, maybe you've been away doing your own thing, kind of holding on to the snow cone that's melting. If you want to repent, come back to your Father who holds time and the stars in his hands. Do it today. If you need to make a response, please come as we stand and we sing.